It's Friday. If you can see by the title and by the shirt I'm wearing, Kai Greene. This video is about Kai. Both Nicks, that's Trigilli and Nick. What's Nick's last name? Nick Strength and Power. I know your last name, Nick. I don't know why it's escaping me at the moment. It's a very common name. They've both done videos about this in the past couple days. I felt I wanted to make a video personally because I've known Kai a very, very long time. I've had a front row seat to most of his pro shows, watched him even before he was doing well as a pro. I didn't know him as an amateur, but I was there for the first couple pro shows when he was getting, second, third call out, was much, much smaller. Then I was there at the New York Pro when he came in much, much bigger all of a sudden. So I've seen Kai transform over the years. I've seen his career rise. I've seen his popularity rise. He went from a guy who was, I remember the first time I met him, I think he was homeless. He was homeless. He was dragging pretty much everything he owned around in a backpack and a big cooler that he would, big cooler like you'd take to the beach with a handle, pulling it along the sidewalk that had all his food in it. And I think he was, staying where he could on different friends' couches or whatever. So anyway, I like Kai a lot. I know him. He knows me. Always been very nice to me, very respectful, very complimentary. I appreciate that. We worked together on many interviews and articles for Muscular Development over the years. And I was concerned for Kai. I saw him most recently in person at the Redcon 1 gym opening in Nashville. It was only summer of 2021, last summer. Wasn't even a year ago. And huge. He was still huge. He had to be 300 pounds. Says he's 5'8". I'm a little under 5'8", and we pretty much see eye to eye. So I think he's, like me, has shrunk a little bit over the years. He's under 5'8" now. So I see how big he was, and like a lot of people have commented, why is he staying so huge? He's not competing anymore. And I do believe he's retired. He's never officially stated that he's retired, but the fact that he hasn't competed now in it's almost 6 years. His last season was spring of 2016. He won the Arnold Classic Ohio. He won the one in Brazil. I think he won another one. He won a bunch of shows, and then that was it. And he's had special invitations to the Mr. Olympia every year, and he kind of led us to believe he might be doing it, and at the last minute he wasn't. And he's kind of been. I don't want to use the word troll. He didn't troll us, but he did lead a lot of people to believe he might be competing when I don't think he ever intended to. Now, Kai, but he's kept the same physique, which was crazy to me. I'm like, why would you do that? Because that is so much mass. This is a guy that he's been over 300 pounds. And if you stand, you say, no, that's bullshit. Stand next to the guy, as I have many times. And, if I'm standing next to him, we're the same height, and I'm like 225, I can see this guy is way bigger, way thicker than me. His legs from the side, he was wearing tights all the time. His legs from the side they're this wide. It's ridiculous. His shoulders, huge traps, chest, arms, everything monstrously big and huge. And for what? For Instagram, for his fans, just to make people, to keep his image, his brand going. I don't think he needs that. Just like other people, like Jay Cutler is the example everybody uses, because he's the perfect example. Jay is not as big as he used to be. Nor does he need to be, nor should he be, nor should any of these guys who are retired from competition. There is no reason to, let's be real, take all the drugs it requires to maintain that much muscle mass, not to mention the food. It's just not healthy for even a younger guy. But Kai's 46 now. He will be 47 in July, late 40s. Especially after last year, 2021, we saw so many people pass before their time, least of which Sean Roden, Mr. Olympia, 46 years old, gone. George Peterson, 37, gone. John Meadows, 48, 49, 49, gone. So many people long before their time. The average life expectancy for a male in the United States of America, I looked it up, is 78.79 years. Let's round that off to 79, almost 80. None of these guys who are trying to maintain that muscle mass, even if a lot of these guys aren't going to make it, even if they quit by 40 and downsize, but the ones who try to maintain it well into their 40s and beyond, dude, they're not going to make it. They're not going to be long for this earth. And that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing because, you know, these are human lives. These people all have friends, mothers, fathers, you know, kids, cousins, nephews. They all matter deeply to some people, not just to the fans. And it's just not healthy to be that big, whether you're obese or whether it's muscle. The human body was not meant to be that big, carry that much mass. It just wasn't. It's a strain on everything, the organs, the heart, the kidneys, everything. Takes a beating carrying around all that muscle mass every day. Now, when I say Kai's downsized, compared to what he normally looks like and the way he's been looking for years and years, and he's carried that mass since about, I think 2005 was the first year he came out with all that extra mass. I think he had just turned pro. It was either 05 or 06. I think it was 06 maybe. He came back, I think 05 he did the New York Pro, and he was either still natural, and go ahead and argue in the comments, go ahead, or the live chat. He came back the next year, blown up, like 250, 260. He's competed as heavily, if you believe him, as about 280. I don't know if he was ever really that heavy on stage, but I've seen him walking around many times at what had to be 290, 300, or maybe more. Fairly lean, not contest condition, but not fat by any means. That's a lot of size to carry on a frame like that. So as the Nick Miller, is Miller's last name. I told you it was a generic white name like mine, Harris. As they pointed out in his Instagram posts and videos for the sponsor PowerTech equipment, he's smaller, but he's still a big dude. I bet he's still about 260, maybe even more, softer. He looks to me like he's just on TRT now, which is, you know, he's probably on 200 or 300 milligrams of test a week. I don't know. I'm just guessing, just by the way he looks. His muscles don't have that full bursting round look anymore. You don't see all the crazy veins, the hardness. But you know what? Why would he need to be like that? Why would he need to look like that forever? To what, he's 60, 70? No, he wouldn't make it. There's no way Kai would make it to even 60 years old. There's just no way if he carried that mass. I guarantee you, kidney failure, liver failure, heart attack, something would get him because it's just too much for the human body to carry all that, and the drugs to maintain that much muscle, they're significant. So what else was I going to talk about? You know, he has nothing to prove to anybody. He really doesn't. Kai is one of those guys like Flex Wheeler, like Kevin Levrone, like Sean Ray, who I consider an uncrowned Mr. Olympia, in the aspect that, not to say that he was robbed those 3 years in a row that he was second to Phil Heath. I'm not saying Phil got a gift, but Kai was good enough, certainly good enough to be Mr. Olympia. He's someone I always thought would win at least one Mr. Olympia. I don't think it'll ever happen, unfortunately. Obviously, that ship has sailed, but it's okay. He's one of the legends of the sport. He's going to be known. He's going to be remembered as one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time, certainly one of the very best of his generation. He won many shows, and he was very unique. He's someone you'll never forget, both physique-wise, the way he performed on stage, completely unique with those routines, those posing routines, and his personality. There's nobody like Kai. And he's not just a bodybuilder. He's a very talented artist. He's done, he had a little show on his YouTube channel. He did like a comedy, like a variety show with skits and music. It was hilarious. So I want Kai to be around a long time. He's good for the sport. He's a good guy. And I'm glad that he's taking his health into priority, putting priority on his health rather than just being big for who? The fans? Because you know what? The fans, they like to see these guys big and huge and freaky, and they talk shit about them when they downsize, if they go off all the gear. But you know what? At the end of the day, the fans don't really care. Most of the fans don't care if these guys die. They don't. They're like, that's too bad. That sucks. And then they'll just follow the next freak. There's always another freak to follow. But like I said, the people who these athletes, these bodybuilders leave behind, their friends, their family, all these people who really cared about them, they're the ones who really feel the loss and the sadness, and they're going to mourn these guys when they go, because that's a human life. You know, this is going to sound really corny, but I was on vacation in Costa Rica, and I had a vivid dream while I was there. I'm lucky in that I'm able to remember a lot of my dreams in detail. I know not everyone can do that. I had a dream where George Peterson, I saw George in the dream, and I hugged him. He was huge. And I started crying uncontrollably. And I woke up and I was almost in actual tears. I was still very sad because in the dream I was telling him, I'm so sorry. So sorry this happened to you, because he was a good guy, man. George was a really good guy. He was humble, soft-spoken, not a mean bone in his body, and he's gone. He didn't even live to 40. He didn't even make it to 40. That is so young. 37. For those of you who are up there, like I'm 52, for those of you who are 45, 50 and beyond, 37 is very young. Kai, 46, to some of you that sounds pretty old. To me it doesn't. And, when I'm 60, I'm sure 46 will seem pretty young. It'll seem like a much younger man. So I'm so happy for Kai. I'm so happy that he was able to stop feeling for whatever reason. I'd love to talk to him about this, but he's very hard to get a hold of. He's very hard to get an interview with. I'm so happy that he put his ego aside, as Nick Miller said, was able to, come to terms with the fact that he doesn't need to be that big anymore. He doesn't have to be that big anymore. He was huge for so many years. We'll always have all those all those photos, all those videos. There's tons of ways you can still look back at Kai as big as, on YouTube. We're on YouTube. Do a search for Kai Greene, posing, training. Thousands of videos will come up. So that you don't need to stay big these days. It's all there if you want to look back. In the old days, we'd say I'd have these pictures to show my grandchildren. So it's kind of like that, because nobody stays young forever. Nobody can stay huge forever. They can stay huge, but it's not going to last forever, because if you stay huge for a very long time, your health pays the price. And for a lot of guys, their life ends prematurely. They die a lot younger than they would have otherwise. I don't think most of us, I should include myself, most guys, I won't, because I was never that big. Most guys who carried that much mass and carried it for many, many years, I don't think they're gonna live as long. They did a lot of damage. A great example of someone who did it right was Dorian Yates. Dorian didn't stay big as long as you guys think he did. Dorian Yates did his first competition. He started lifting in 1983, did his first contest in 1985, turned pro in 1988, okay? His very last contest was 1997. So he was only a pro. He didn't do his first pro show till 1990. So Dorian didn't even carry all that size for 15 years when you look at it. So 85, he was much smaller than he was when he turned pro. Let's say from about 87 or 88, he carried a lot of mass. And by 97, when he retired, after that, he went off all the gear, downsized. He's much, much smaller now. And, he doesn't care if people make fun of him and say, aha, he used to be this big and look at him now, aha. These people who troll the bodybuilders, shame on you. Shame on you for doing that, because you're encouraging their insecurity, and you're encouraging people to stay big just so they won't get made fun of and trolled. You're really no better than the people who, bully people online to commit suicide or something, it's not cool, guys. It's not cool. These are human lives. Being on all those drugs and being that huge is not something that's healthy, as we know. That is a fact. So to pressure people into staying that big, or make fun of them when they decide that they want to be healthy, especially these are older guys, especially guys who are retired. Anyone who's out there listening, I'm not as big as I used to be, and I was never enormous. And anyone out there who's trying to maintain all that mass that you had in your younger years, and you've retired from competition long ago, please come off, go on TRT. I look at my health a lot. I do pay attention. I'm very, very fortunate. I've been very fortunate. If I see indications that point to me that I need to cut back and go on just straight TRT, and I do need to lose some muscle mass, I'll do it, because I don't want to die. I have a wife who I love dearly. I've been with for 32 years. I have two great kids, 22 and almost 28 years old. I want to see them grow up and, have grandchildren of mine to spoil and all that. I want to be around a while. So I guess it's time to go to your questions, comments. Anything you want to say, guys? Let's see. So anything you want to say, guys? Let's turn off the volume on that. Let's start with Tom Platts Jr. Troll never stops. Bet you're going to troll for Arnold 22. Oh, you're talking about Kai calling him a troll. This guy hasn't done nothing in years. Are we still talking about him? Well, he's still relevant. Jay Cutler hasn't done anything in years. Does that mean he's irrelevant? Just because someone stops competing, you know, like Tom Brady. Let's say this is his last. That was his last season. Well, this is his last season. Is he going to be irrelevant? People are never going to talk about him again after this. Mr. Jenks also continues, nothing worse than a Kai Greene interview. Talks in circles, give you nothing in the end. He can be challenging to interview. I definitely agree with that. The questions you ask are not the questions he answers a lot of the times. Kai answers things and he speaks about what he wants to speak about. I'm good for it. I'm used to it by now. Robertino, glad for Kai, as am I. Rogue Silver not buying it. Just look at the videos. Look at his Instagram. He's definitely downsized. He's definitely not as big and freaky as he was. Duke Nukem, I saw him backstage in Arnold in 2009. He's absolutely massive. I'm glad he's finally downsizing. Hopefully he's made enough money off his hugeness to retire. Yeah, you know, he's had all these sponsors. He's with Redcon now. He's got this Power Tech. He's got multiple endorsements. He's huge in India. He sells tons of ebooks to people in India. I think he had a gym chain. His supplement line does well there. For whatever reason, he's very, very popular in India. Has been for a few years now. Long live Kai, says Gregory Elise up in Canada. That's a vintage t-shirt. Yeah, this shirt, oh boy, this is a mini sledge. That's the thing though, whether he was natural or not, his increase in mass was incredible, yeah. I won't even debate that because people, you're all going to, anyone who disagrees with you on social media says you're a moron. But Kai won the Team Universe, it was still called. That's how he got his pro card. It was like 2007. No, sorry, no, it was before that. 04, 05, something like that. He was 5'8" and 215. He was either drug-free or on very, very minimal stuff. And, you know, he ended up putting on another 70, 80 pounds of muscle beyond that, which leads me to believe that he was natural, because if you've already done a couple cycles of steroids, especially if you have awesome genetics, as Kai does, you would have put on a significant amount of muscle from those first few cycles of steroids. So to go from that point to where he was, I don't even think that's possible. You would need, I don't think all the steroids in the world would have given you that much more muscle if you had already been on steroids. But you guys, some of you will say, you're kissing his ass, you're in denial, whatever. You can think what you want to think. Intermix, Kai needs to hit the Mr. O stage one last time now. I don't believe he would ever compete in the Olympia. He had a real sour taste in his mouth with the Olympia, even though it's new owner, new promoter and all that. It's just the contest itself. I got the sense that he felt he was mistreated, disrespected. We won't even get into it. It's not that important anymore. Delts always melt away the fastest. Yeah, I agree. And when I've seen a lot of guys go off, their blasting gear to TRT, and you do notice the delts come down. Just like with a lot of people, that's the first thing that comes up, especially women. I've noticed a lot of women who I see go on and off drugs, all the way from local competitors to pros, the delts go up and down, like inflate, deflate. It's probably, there might be some science to like receptors and the delts are different. I don't know. He still looks awesome. J-Dog says, yeah, he does. Rob Thomas, downsizing, looks like he traded muscle for fat. He's fatter. Yeah, he's carrying more body fat for sure. But he's off all those drugs. And, those drugs do have when you're carrying all that muscle mass, you're burning so many calories just sitting there doing nothing. And I don't know if he was using other drugs like Clen here, and I don't know what he was doing. But yeah, he's definitely carrying more body fat now and less muscle. But whatever. Intermix. Jay is a perfect example. You can retire but still look in shape. Yeah, Jay Cutler is still a big dude. Make no mistake. He's nowhere near as big as he used to be. He used to walk around, 290, pretty hard condition at 5'9", all the time. He's probably down to like 240 now. Looks much, much healthier, much younger. Waist is a lot more tapered. He just looks healthier and fresh. Jay's going to live a lot longer than he would have had he tried to maintain all that mass forever, which he wisely did not even attempt to do. Any herbs or spices to help with digestion? What's that got to do with Kai Greene? Stay on topic, guy, please. Kai should have won minimum 2 titles. Should have won at least 1, as I said. I mean, he was that damn good. He was so good. Should have won. Just like Flex Wheeler should have won a Mr. Olympia. Kevin Levrone should have won a Mr. Olympia. Sean Ray should have won a Mr. Olympia. There are more examples. I'm sure you can think of some other guys. Let's say Hadi Choopan never wins an Olympia. He should have won an Olympia, but he might never win an Olympia. Cade cammed beauty pageants for guys with body dysmorphia. Well, if you feel that way about bodybuilding, I'm glad you subscribe to Muscular Development. I hope you do. But if you feel that way, why would you be watching bodybuilding content? I guess just to troll it. Mitch again. Mitch says, I legit cried for Luke Sando. Yeah, I cried for Luke too. Luke was a young guy. Was he even 30? Was he? I can't remember how old he was. He was very young. 30, 31. Yeah, he was. That's a guy that's, what a tragedy, Dallas McCarver, Jesus, 26 years old. These guys, forget about that they never fulfilled their bodybuilding potential. It's the fact that they died young and they never got to experience life and, middle age and old age and children and grandchildren. And there's probably a lot of places they never traveled to if they wanted. There's a lot of things that they still had to do. And, I don't think any of these people who died ever thought they were going to die. Think about it. You can't wrap your head around the concept. We all know we're going to die. It's inevitable. We're all going to die. We're not vampires. Yet we can't really accept, most of us can't accept that we will die. It's like, no, that can't happen to me. I can't die. That's crazy. I'm me. How can I die? You're going to die. I'm going to die. We're all going to die. It's going to happen. But hopefully you've lived a long, fruitful, productive life that, at the end you could say, I did what I wanted to do. I'm satisfied. I had a good life. No regrets. Well, anyway, moving on. My breathing isn't labored. My nose is a little stuffed up. It's not the Rona. I'm okay. Thank you for your concern, though. Because I'm breathing through my mouth and I'm trying to talk, so I don't want to blow my nose on camera. It's bad enough sometimes I take a drink. People don't like that. Gregory Lease, George was genuinely a great human being. He was. J-Dog, even if you get him on, he's hard to follow. Talks weird in riddles, LOL. Yeah, I agree. I've interviewed Kai a few times, and it's, like I said, it's challenging. It's kind of frustrating at times because I ask this question, and the answer I get back a lot of times has nothing to do with the question that I asked. I don't even know where did he even... Is he hearing me, or is he hearing a voice inside? I don't know, but he's a unique guy, and I like him because he is so unique. Some of these guys are so boring, and to use a Genova fan phrase, cookie cutter, that it's like, ugh, it's tough. He's never boring. Bipolar mom and former adult probation officer. I don't know what that was in response to. I don't know what you meant by that. Cardio is so important, guys. Oh, 100%. All of you who aren't doing cardio, especially if you're over like 35, if you're over 40, do your damn cardio. Don't just think the weight training, well, I do the weights and I train pretty fast. It's not the same. You got to do your cardio. It's the only way to really train or actually keep those, the heart and the lungs really pumping and working at full efficiency. The recommendation is 150 minutes a week, however you like to break that up, of cardio. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Oh, between fat and muscle? I don't know what you mean by I think you're talking about what I was referring to, where it doesn't really matter if it's fat or muscle, it's still a strain on the body when you have too much. Oh, you're saying now so now you're saying around the heart doesn't know the difference between fat or muscle. Yeah, it's working very, very hard. It's straining. Whether you're overweight because you're carrying a bunch of body fat or a bunch of muscle mass, the heart, it doesn't make any difference to the heart. It still has to work that much harder for all that extra, keep pumping all that blood through everything. Yeah, he too big, he too short. You mean he's too big, he's too short. It's not. Yeah, I mean, if you legitimately do speak in Ebonics, that's fine. But if you just type that way because you think it's cool, it's not cool. Intermix, at what age should one stop going on a bulk? I'm early 30s, still want a bit of size. I don't think anybody should be bulking and adding a bunch of extra body fat. I've done a few videos on that. You don't need to add a lot of body fat to gain muscle mass, and you shouldn't. It's unhealthy. You know, I'm speaking from experience. I did it for years. My heaviest I got was 247 at 5'8", which for me, I was disgusting. That was the winter that I used insulin, and I was taking 20 units of insulin post workout with a bunch of cookies. You know, Milos, later I talked to Milos, he said, "You moron, there was fat in those cookies. You needed just straight glucose, something that was just straight sugar, and you were mixing fat in it, you idiot," which I was. And I got very fat, and I had high blood pressure. I was having trouble breathing. Had sleep apnea, very uncomfortable, very unhealthy. I don't think anybody should be bulking and adding a bunch of body fat, but particularly if you're past 35, if you're past 40 for damn sure, you need to keep your body weight in check. You need to keep your body fat in check for your health, for your longevity, just so you're going to be around. Don't you want to be around? Don't you want to live? If you don't want to, there are definitely people around you that want you to live. Parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, kids, cousins, co-workers, friends. There are people around you that would be very upset, very hurt if you died. Just even if you don't care, there are other people that do care. Bipolar mom, we love you too. Thank you, bipolar mom and former adult probation officer. Hori Maxer, do you feel that 44, 5'8", 190 is a good size? Height and weight really don't matter. It's what you look like. So I'm 5'7.5". I'm about 220. I guarantee you there are people with way better genetics who have better structure, like wider shoulders, more narrow waist, better shape to their muscles. They could be 40 pounds lighter than me at the same body fat, and they would look way better than me. It's visual. The sport, physiques. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. That's not a small person. 5'8", 190, especially if you're lean. You know, you can see your abs. That's a solid person. You know, is a good size. That's a relative thing. Some people would say, "Oh, you're tiny," and other people would say, "That's huge." You know, the people that follow hardcore bodybuilding and they follow, like, you know, Big Ramy and Hadi Choopan and Nick Walker, they would consider that small. But you know what? This is a weird sport with very weird, very odd standards for what's considered big and small. You know, a lot of you guys who think you're small, if you walk down the beach, a lot of people would say, "Geez, that guy's huge." You know, but you'd be like me. "Oh, you should see Big Ramy." And I'm guilty of that. When people try to give me compliments, I'd say, "Oh, you should see." I stopped doing that. I just say thank you. A few years ago, I stopped doing that. I realized, just take a compliment. Bodybuilders, a lot of us cannot take compliments because we're so insecure. And we compare ourselves to the biggest and the best in the sport, which is ridiculous because those are truly genetic freaks, like almost another subspecies of human being. They're so different from us in the way that their bodies respond to training, to gear, to food. They take on entirely different dimensions and look than a normal human could ever possibly obtain, even with all the drugs in the world. A question about something I have no idea. GW50, I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. Dimitrios Christakis. You must be Greek, right? Obviously, I know. I'm just kidding. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Bullshit free. Thank you, Dimitrios. Hori Maxer. Is Primo good for feeling good mentally? I don't know if any steroids in particular are known for their, feel good aspects, for their mental wellness and all that. But, I feel better when I'm on gear in general. If I'm dieting, it doesn't matter. I feel like crap and I'm angry and snippy and a jerk. But, if you have low T, you're not going to be feeling very good. You're not going to have mental acuity and alertness. So you should have at least regular testosterone levels. And if they're a little higher, most people do feel a little better for sure. On gear. Samson, why are you saying thank God in regard to Kai downsizing? Kai is probably the only bodybuilder I know who has never suffered any ill effects. I'm not going to go into it. It's not my place to, but that is not true. He did have health problems years ago. Not my place to say what they were, and don't DM me or ask what they were, but he has had, years ago, I know he had a pretty serious issue that he had to deal with, that he luckily overcame and was fine, as far as I know. But he was not always he has not been unscathed by the drugs and all that. He has not. Bipolar mom, former Tom Brady, the cheater. Oh, no. I don't care. You can talk crap about Tom Brady. I'm not a football fan anyway. I don't even talk. You can say whatever you want about Tom. I don't care. I don't care about any of these athletes. I don't follow sports, which some people say makes me un-American. Don't care about baseball, football, basketball, hockey, none of that crap. Could care less. Bodybuilders are so insecure, says Mr. Jinx. 100% agree with that. 100%. Most of the bodybuilders I know are very, very insecure people. And even the ones that seem like cocky and arrogant, that's a mask. That's a front to hide the insecurity. You know, Flex Wheeler wrote in his book, Flexibility, years ago, that whole persona that he portrayed of this real arrogant Flex, it was a character that he created called Flex Wheeler, because Kenny Wheeler, that's his real name, Kenneth, was very, very insecure and shy. So he created this persona with big muscles and strutting around, and, you know, it wasn't really him. Let's see. Man, we're still talking. You guys are talking about, I'm not going to talk about football because I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to pretend I do. I'm not a sports fan. Guy's downsizing his cucumbers. It's sick. It's sick. It piss. Haven't heard anything about Genova in a long time, but man, those catchphrases, they still live on with a lot of people. Samson, 12321. Kai is a right-brained person who operates very descriptively in his doings. He can seem long-winded, but he always answers what's asked of him. Yeah, he's an artist. So I thought it was the left brain was the artistic, the creative side. Am I wrong? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he's definitely, you know, a very, very creative person, great imagination. So, you know, he's not going to conform to what we want, what we would necessarily expect or want of him in an interview or in anything. Kai does what he wants to do. He's a free spirit, you know. I applaud that, because so many people they're so afraid to, you know, to do anything that's outside the norms. They're terrified of being judged or being ridiculed, that they live their lives, you know, just conforming and doing what everyone says and trying to be like everyone else. And Kai's not like that. Kai's different. He doesn't care. He does what he wants to do. Mr. Wide, but what's the point of being that big unless you compete, or for money, the amount of juice he needs? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's a personal choice. We're still talking about Tom Brady. Can't stay huge forever. Yeah, said that. We still talking about political bodybuilding is all about politics, Ron? It's not. I think it was much more political in years past. Much more political, particularly when Joe Weider was alive. Very political. Corrupt would probably be an apt description. I believe a lot of people won who should not have won certain contests. There are so many examples. I'm not even getting into it, but I've been seeing a shift in the judging over the past few years where I do believe it's more fair and impartial. It's not about who's got what sponsor or who curried favor with what judges or promoters. It's some of that obviously it's going to happen every now and then, but it was rampant for years and years, for decades. And I see things have changed much for the better in recent years. So I'm happy to see that. How's it going, big guy? Going pretty well. I cried when Dallas died. Yeah, I did, because Dallas wasn't much older than my oldest child, my daughter. And, you know, I've met his mom. I never met his dad. But, you know, I knew, God, I'm so emotional. I knew that day, you know, a parent had lost a child, and that's just the worst. That has to be the worst thing. No parent should outlive their child. You know, Dallas he left behind a lot of fans, but he left behind a lot of people, good friends and family, uncles and aunts, his mother, people who really loved him, really cared about him, and he was taken away from them like that because of bodybuilding. Sean Roden too. Yeah, I cried for Sean. I mean, I'm very, you know, I have very high estrogen levels from all the gear, and I don't manage it with anything. I'm not on any anti-estrogens. I don't take any of those AIs, and so maybe I'm a little more emotional, but I think I always was. Very sensitive when people die, especially if I knew the person. It always hits me hard. And even if I didn't know them that well, it's just, it's a tragedy when a life is gone, taken too soon. So why does Kai talk like he does? Basil Christie, while not striving for size, what would Kai's training have to look like to try to maintain what is reasonable while aging? How many days each week? Who's to say? Who knows what his body needs? He knows. He'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Kai's very intelligent with his training, very analytical. He loves to train. I've seen him train a few times, and that guy loves to train. He has a blast. He trains hard, but he has fun doing it. So he'll figure it out. He'll figure out exactly how he wants to train, how he needs to train, and that's another chapter in his life. Dimitrios Christakis. What did you say? Did I go past it? Oh God, I went way past it. Heavy is heavy, been as heavy as 340. Wow, been on TRT for 15 years now. 250, 260. Crazy how much of a role it plays, yeah. Keep the stitch in. Big Ron, what's your recommendation on a TRT clinic for Boston area? Oh, okay, Sacco Genesian. I actually have a great one. It's the one I used to go to. It's called Men's Health Boston. It's owned and operated by Dr. Abraham Morgentaler, who teaches at Harvard Medical. Abraham Morgentaler was one of the pioneers of TRT. He's written several acclaimed books about it. And he was one of the first, if not the first, to debunk, to disprove through his own studies, any links between TRT and prostate cancer. He found that actually there was no link between being on a maintenance dose of testosterone and developing prostate cancer. So Men's Health Boston, that's a clinic owned and operated by Dr. Morgentaler. It's fully legit, fully legit. It's a little bit expensive, but he's the best. I mean, he literally wrote the book on TRT. No one sees which title would you have to give him, Tyler? I don't know which. I'd have to look at each of those three Olympias to decide which one Kai was closest to winning or should have won. It doesn't. It's irrelevant now. It's like arguing over, a beauty pageant from 40 years ago that you thought Miss Hawaii should have beaten Miss Montana or something. Who cares? Why push it, the man living legend? Joseph Paco, do you eat much fruit? I have fruit with breakfast every day, either strawberries or blueberries in my oatmeal, and then with my third meal, which is a turkey burger on a gluten-free bun and a slice of cheese and some coffee with some protein powder and some collagen powder in there. I have an apple with that, so I have fruit twice a day. I do believe it's beneficial. A lot of good things in fruit, especially the antioxidants. That's why I do the blueberries. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. There's a lot of benefits to apples. Fu Man Poo. Why is Palumbo still in the outs with Bleckman? I heard, despite your rebuttal, I heard the savage insult on Muscle in the Morning. I don't know why Dave still has it in for Steve. Dave was fired, what's this, 2022? It's been over 10 years. Get over it. Move on. Dave's doing great. Dave would never have this empire that he's created if he had stayed with MD. He's got his own stuff going. He's got his own companies, YouTube channel, breeding. He's got so much going on. I don't know why he would be bitter. Why he would even, Steve Bleckman would be in his mind anymore. Why? Move on. Get over it. You're doing great, Dave. You got wife, kids, tons of money, tons of fans. Forget about Steve. It's way in the past now. Bye-bye now. Get over it. Little phlegm there. Sorry, guys. Motorsports. The Dugdale autopsy. Mark Dugdale is not dead. Are you talking about somebody else? Yeah. I looked it up because someone said that in a recent live about Mark Dugdale. Mark Dugdale. Is there another person named Dugdale? Am I missing something here? Kai is definitely not downsizing. You've seen him recently in person. Fake news. He is downsizing because these Power Tech ads are new, and he is a little smaller. He's definitely a little smaller and softer. So I don't know. You might be seeing pictures that he's posting from when he was still bigger, which wasn't that long ago. I think this is a very recent decision on his part to downsize. I don't think it's been going on for more than a few months at most. Because again, I did see him last summer in person. He was enormous. For a long time, if Kai cut his hair, he could have won Mr. O. J-Dog. Yeah, J-Dog, though, but one of the best, I don't know which one of those three Olympias it was, but one of the most epic Mr. Olympia moments was when him and Phil were on stage next to each other, and Kai whipped that braid around, smacked Phil with his braid. I couldn't stop laughing. That was hilarious. I mean, how many times you see Mr. Olympia get smacked by someone's hair braid? That would be the only time that I can remember. Vincent Caballero, do you think the awkward stories about him didn't allow him to win, Mr. O? I think he should beat Uncle Phil. I don't know why he didn't win. I don't know if it was because, quote, these are my air quotes, the judges wouldn't let him win, or they felt Phil had something extra. I don't know. Don't know. Jason Paco, what's your thoughts on Michael Krizo? Where do you think he stacks? Michael Krizo, who is the IFBB Elite Champion. I don't know what their top title's called, but he's enormous. I think he's comparable to Rami. I'd love to see them next to each other, but unless he leaves the IFBB Elite, which I don't think he will, because I think they pay him pretty well, and he's got sponsors and all that. I don't think we're ever going to see it, but yeah, he's definitely would be comparable on that Olympia stage with the top 5 guys for sure. He's no slouch. Let's see, Uncle Phil. Well said, respect. Carmen, what is the best fat lose pills? No, I don't know, dude. Carmen, go to the Ask Dr. Testosterone video that posted. It's on this channel. It posted on Tuesday morning. Put that in the comments, and we'll answer that in the next show. All your questions about gear and stuff, guys, put those on the Ask Dr. Testosterone video comments. That's where we get the questions for the next week's show. But do it today or tomorrow at the latest, because I compile all the questions, and by Saturday I send them off to him so he can have time to really review them and think about them, because we record every Monday morning and the video goes out Tuesday morning. Let's see. Who will win the Is the anabolic doctor a killer? No. How's he a killer? He hasn't killed anybody. It's ridiculous. Abbas Muhammad, Mr. Ron, my left arm is small to my right arm, especially in tricep area. What should I do, please? If I knew, I would tell you, because I mean, I have, this arm is 1 inch, not an inch. It's at least a ½ inch bigger than this one. Nothing I can really do about it. You could just train to maintain the larger arm, train that one with less sets and everything to keep it the same size and work much harder on the other one and hope for the best. But I've never seen anyone really bring them up perfectly. Let's see. Who will win the Arnold? Probably Brandon Curry. Could be William Bonac. Could be Brandon Curry. I think those two are going to be it's going to be between them two, in my humble opinion. If they're both on, they're both incredible. They both won the Arnold before. Obviously, Brandon's won the Olympia. Bonac's won the Arnold twice. Brandon's won the Arnold before as well as the Olympia. So it's going to be tough. John Hopper, Ron, we're still waiting for you to downsize. I mean, I have downsized somewhat. I used to walk off seasons. I used to be 230 to 235 all the time. I'm actually a little under. I got back from vacation. I was a little under 220. In the summertime, I'll be more like 212, 215 at the most. When will I go on TRT only and probably drop 10 pounds of muscle or more? I'm not going to, for those of you who think I'm going to lose like 100 pounds of muscle if I just drop down TRT, no, I'm not going to lose that much muscle. I'll definitely look smaller, but I don't know, that day's not here yet. Huge balls on that, man. That was great. That was epic when Kai slapped Phil, yeah. What the hell? And beginner. What are the best fat burning supplements for natural athletes? I've used Double Tap by Redcon 1. I like that one a lot. I haven't reviewed every fat burner. I haven't tried them all, and I couldn't tell you. You know, that's the one I've used that worked well, was Double Tap powder from Redcon. What made you start taking steroids after being natty for so long, Ron? Dave Thomas, I just released a video on this channel about my first year on steroids. Please refer to that video. It's all in there. Please go watch the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Watch all our videos, please. I need your views. Give me some views, guys. Come on. Share the videos. Like the videos. Comment on the videos for the algorithm. Beginner. All right, guys. Okay, I watched the last epi when you explained about your first year. Now I'm on sustenance, LOL. Well, I'm not glad I was able to. I wasn't. Hopefully, I didn't convince anyone to start taking steroids. But you know what? If you're going to use them, you're going to use them, whether someone tells you to or not. Is gay for pay still a thing in IFBB? Maybe. I have no idea. If it is, I'm not aware of it. Yeah, buddy, lightweight, buddy. Ron is still none but a peanut. Yeah, those are Ronnie Coleman's catchphrases. Yeah. Yeah, Sampson says, whoever that person made that comment about Mark Dugdale being dead, not funny at all. Should ban this person. Just like with Victor Richard. Yeah, I don't know where that rumor, I don't know, people, why would you like start a rumor that someone's dead? Because obviously someone started the Victor Richards rumor. It didn't just come out of nowhere. Somebody started the rumor that he was dead. I don't know why. I mean, we have enough people actually dying. We don't need rumors, people starting rumors. And, I reported on it like his death, like a lot of other people, but I didn't start the rumor. Andreas Colling, Pro Bodybuilder, was the first person that we could track that posted about it, but that doesn't mean he started the rumor. Somebody might have told him and he just ran with it. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I've gone on and on and enough as usual. Appreciate you guys watching. Kai, my hat's off to you. I applaud your decision. I like you a lot. I respect the hell out of you. You're one of the greatest bodybuilders of this generation or any other. Want to have you around a long, long time. So I'm glad you chose health, longevity, nothing to prove. You were a huge, one of the largest human beings, thickly developed, densely muscled human beings to ever walk the face of this earth. And you'll always be remembered as such. And no need to continue doing that. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great weekend.